Welcome into another edition of SJHL Weekly. Good afternoon, SJHL fans across the province and, of course, across the country. It's time for SJHL Weekly, presented by UPL. I'm your host, Clark Munroe. Thanks for joining us today. We have a great show for you, including a recap of the games over the weekend, a look ahead to a busy week of games. We're going to announce Players of the Week and Players of the Month as well, because November is behind us now. We are into December. How scary is that? We play a game of Risky Quizness later in the show, hosted by, I guess, our friend Jamie Neugebauer. And we're going to be joined by Humboldt Broncos star forward Connor Miller, an Augustana commit, of course, to NCAA Division I. We're extremely excited to chat with him after his recent news that he got invited to the Team Canada West selection camp for the World Junior A Challenge. Before we get too deep into that, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, and those include Cantera Seeds, Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and thanks to the two gentlemen who are right here beside me in the studio today at the IKS Media Studios. That is Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer, voice of the Humboldt Broncos, voice of the Notre Dame Hounds. Gentlemen, an interesting week for you guys both, an interesting week across the league, and lots going on across the league, with lots coming up. So, Rory, I'll start with you. How was your weekend?
Not too bad. Obviously had the Weyburn game on Friday postponed,
right.
Then scheduled to Monday, also moved again, so it'll probably be later in the season. One off on Saturday after dropping a game to the Notre Dame Hounds there in Wilcox, in which Nugsy was very happy about. The Broncos bounced back on Saturday. But we're into December. We got the Christmas vibe going on.
Festive.
Thank you very much, and we're ready for the holidays.
I had a sweater vest that I wore over the weekend, but it's largely green, so it wouldn't work in this studio space that we have.
No, you'd be invisible.
So I was going to wear it, but I would be invisible, and I don't want to be that. So, Nugsy, you're not invisible. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, good to know. I'm always worried about that. It's one of my fears. No, I'm just kidding. Well, funny. Well, so I'll tell a bit of a story from the Wednesday game in Wilcox. It was 3-0 Hounds. The Hounds were flying, blah, blah, blah. And then the Broncos come back, make it 3-3. And I have one of my patented, clipboard folio slams just out of frustration.
Oh, yeah.
It was only my second of the year, though. And I think Jacob Faith was doing color the other time that I did that against, I forget who it was against. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the game, the Hounds win. Rory turns, looks at me, and he says, "Are you feeling better?" Are you happy now?
It was an aggressive folder slam.
Oh, and you know what? Being the Junior Hounds broadcaster for the last 7 years has had its ups and downs, we'll say. So, hey, it was a dramatic win, and glad that they got it done. And then in Carlisle, of course, on Friday, wonderful time. The people in Carlisle, always so kind. What an incredible time that was. They're so nice down there.
Yep.
It was a really good hockey game. Really could have gone either way. And in the end, the Bruins won a shootout. But, 2 games there in which the Hounds played very, very hard and showed their improvements that they have been working on the last while. And so I'm happy to see that.
Was the crowd in Carlisle largely Estevan fans?
Oh, yeah. The only Notre Dame fans were parents, especially American parents,
right,
up for American Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. The Bruins keep getting the fancy senior locker room, even though the Hounds are the home team. I would prefer that we would switch that up.
A little controversy there. Interesting.
But, I think the guy who organizes it, Joey, is a former Bruins player,
sure,
so maybe that's something to do with it. I'm not complaining. It was a great time.
Quick shout out, just speaking of the Bruins before we get into it. I saw that there was a fundraiser going on in Estevan, and former Estevan Bruins president Josh Biggs bought 45 pizzas during the fundraiser and donated it all to the food bank in Estevan. So nice. Just a quick little shout out to Josh Biggs. Josh. Really awesome job great there. And you love to see that. Before we get started, if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, actually just a quick note to the IKS Crusaders in the back. I think one of your microphones is open back there, gentlemen. There we go. I think you just fixed it. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please hit the like button, hit the share button. Let's get the engagement going. Want to hear your comments. We'll talk about it throughout the show. The guys in the back will be able to throw them up throughout the show today. So make sure you do that because we do want to hear from you guys. And a couple weeks in a row now, we've had questions sent in by viewers that actually turned into little mini segments. So please make sure you hit that up, and we want to hear from you guys. Let's have a look at the recaps now from the last few days of action. I believe we're going to be seeing Friday and Saturday, of course. As Nugsy mentioned, a 4-3 shootout victory, Estevan over the Notre Dame Hounds. The Nipawin Hawks, they got a big one on Friday night, 4-3 overtime win against Yorkton. Finley Radloff with the game winner on that one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Yorkton, we'll talk about them. That's an interesting week for them. The Melville Millionaires, they got a big win over the Kindersley Clippers on Friday, and we'll talk about them as well today. And the Melfort Mustangs, 8-1 over Battleford, sending a message to the rest of the league as these teams on Friday were 1-2 in the standings. That was a big one for them. Humboldt with a 7-5 victory over Nipawin. Shootout in that one. Without going to a shootout, it was a shootout. The Flin Flon Bombers took care of Yorkton at home, 6-3 at the Whitney Forum. The Melville Millionaires, again, another big 4-1 win over Kindersley. Again, those teams were tied for the very last playoff spot. Going into Friday's action, Melville gets a big 4 points over Kindersley there. It's almost like an 8-point swing if you think about it. And Estevan with a 4-3 overtime win over Weyburn. Brady Wilson playing the hero in that one. And speaking of Brady Wilson, guys, let's have a look at the headlines because the first one is Wilson! Now, I'm saying that as a Castaway reference, of course. Brady Wilson stars for the Estevan Bruins in a big 4-3 win over Weyburn, but Estevan also got a win over. Sorry, no, they didn't. Notre Dame got. Wait, what? I'm confused. I'm confusing myself.
It's okay. Estevan had 4-3 extra time wins in a row.
Yeah, I freaked myself out
4
there
wins
as I
in a
said
row
it.
now for Estevan.
Well, 4
Yeah, and they're doing extremely well. The Bruins are catching on. Obviously, last week we had them in the headlines as well, and this week they're in the headlines. They're leading it off. So, Nugsy, maybe I'll start with you just because you saw them this weekend.
Yeah.
But the Estevan Bruins and Brady Wilson specifically doing good things right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jason Tatarnic knew that he had some veteran injured players kind of in his back pocket that were coming back. And he also, kept saying, sometimes the sky seems like it's falling faster than anywhere else in Estevan. And he actually had a lot of confidence in this group all year, really. And I'll give him, big time credit for that. Obviously having Brady Wilson back in the lineup is huge. He dealt with an injury and then he took some time to kind of find his groove, but he's really found his groove, guys. The last 3 games in a row for Brady Wilson were the highest shot totals of the year for him. Obviously, he's playing on that Kent Moores and Ewan Rennie line.
Yeah.
That game in Carlisle on Friday, as I said, could have gone either way, and then Highway 39 rivalry against maybe a slightly rusty Weyburn team. They haven't played in a while due to their the postponements, the weather, and their rink and whatnot. So I wonder how rusty the Bruins or the Rings were, pardon me, but they have some health. They have a top 4D, maybe top 5D that the Bruins, there you go, there's the Carlisle
There's a couple of things.
broadcast. Rory, where do you rank this Estevan D-Corps? Because they've played really well.
Before I let you guys talk about that, did Elliot Friedman do the abbreviations for the teams in the score bar there? Estevan, ESVN, and Notre Dame, NTDM. I've never seen NTDM.
What is the
for
M for?
Notre Dame.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think. Anyways, not saying anything mean or anything to anybody who did the broadcast, but I've never seen those abbreviations before, and I love them.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, go ahead.
You were talking about Estevan and kind of where do I rank the D-Corps. First off, before I get into that, you can have game in hands, right? And they're useless unless you make them matter. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Estevan Bruins is doing. They're making ground with those games in hand that we knew that they had to. Still only 21 games played. When you look at Kindersley and Larange, who are right up ahead of them, 25 for Larange and 26 for Kindersley. The Estevan Bruins, you got to add them right now back into this weird and wild and wacky SJHL race. And at one point we thought, if they don't make some ground up quickly, we're going to be ruling them out of the playoff race. But they're absolutely right back in it. Ben Polhill has been playing amazing. Brady Wilson, who you mentioned, and a D-Corps that I just don't think we get a lot of respect to.
No.
Not a lot of SJHLers. Kalen Whittenham, Owen Simmons. I've seen them play their best hockey. I've seen them have a couple of games off, but, there's nothing to not like about them in the Bruins.
Yeah, well, I think it's a thing too with the Bruins this year, Rory, where whether or not a guy like Kieran Ronan has been healthy, because he's been healthy, but when you have a guy playing huge minutes because the depth is not there because of the injury situation, or you have a guy playing somewhat normal or more normal is not a word, more normal minutes, it makes a big difference on that guy's capabilities. Yes, Kieran Ronan and his partner, Michael Carter, still did play big minutes over the weekend, and they should. They're as good as any pairing in the SJHL, if you ask me. I have Kieran Ronan as a top 5 D-man in the SJHL. Like, he was a very, very serviceable North American Hockey League defenseman for a very long time, and a very good one. And he's huge, and he's man-strong, and he doesn't seem to ever be hurried when he's under pressure from the forecheck. A big fan of Kieran Ronan. So again, that really is just a big cycle game, right? Because we talk about Ben Polhill. He's stepped in and been great, but I'm sure he would be the first to say, I can only be great if the guys in front of me are doing their job. And they have been. So, you think about wins, tight wins, finding ways to win, finding ways. They're still not blowing the doors off offensively, but a healthy Kent Moores is big. A healthy Ewan Rennie is big. A healthy Brady Wilson is big. You put those three together, that puts everybody back into their kind of the spots they need to be. Cade Kennedy can focus on, being kind of that two-way guy, etc. You go down the list. So, Estevan kind of has the guys healthy in the right spots so they can keep Columbus and Simmons in. That's just another step. But so far right now they're so good. But Ben Polhill's been a big key too.
Yeah, the offense is just going to need to find a little bit more jam throughout the rest of the year, right? They only have 3 forwards over double-digit points so far. A couple defensemen are in there as well. But in the 4-game winning streak, averaging 2 goals against per game in that 4-game winning streak. So if they can play some nice, tight, structured defense, get that performances from Kieran Ronan, from Polhill that you're talking about, they're able to beat good hockey teams. If the offense starts to click a little more, then they become really dangerous.
Well, they put 50 shots on Spencer Borsos in Carlisle. And yes, the Carlisle rink is conducive, just like we talked about Larange, to lots of shots and lots of chances. But you do your job, and Spencer Borsos was great. Ben Polhill was great too. It was a real goalies duo, even though there were 7 goals scored, or 6, I guess, plus the shootout. So I enjoyed it. I was very entertained.
They got their money's worth in Carlisle. You'll love to see it. Let's bring up the headlines one more time. We'll move on to topic number 2, of course, for this week's episode, and that is Little Bro Shines. Now, this could go a lot of ways, but this is specifically in reference to Riley Cote, the little brother of former SJHL stud Josh Cote, of course. Now, Josh played for Battlefords. Riley plays for the Melfort Mustangs, but boy, did he have a big week, and we'll talk about him a little later. Spoiler alert. But the Melfort Mustangs guys and Riley Cote continuing to shine.
Yeah, and really good for my fantasy team as well, up now to 2nd place in the SJHL scoring. But when you watch Riley play, excuse me, he's just a pro-style player, right? If you would agree with that. He's a nightmare to go up against, especially in the playoffs and when games get tighter. I feel that his strength, his speed, his physicality, he's not going to be an easy guy to try and shut down night in and night out. His shot is one of the best in the league, and he's just that pro big style player. Battleford's had some great games from Josh Cote. Never put up 6 points though, did the netminder. And
what the heck, Josh?
Younger brother Riley, what a game! 6 points in that 8-1 victory over Battleford's.
Yeah, look, Riley Cote, you watch him play. He's got all the tools. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He protects the puck extremely well. He didn't have a bad year at all last year. He had 11 points in a bunch of games for Langley and Austin in the North American League and Langley in the BCHL. This kid should be a Division I talent. Like, in my opinion, you look at the package of it all, like, I don't understand it, why he wouldn't be. And obviously, again, it's who are you playing with. He has a Western Hockey League experienced guy in Will Monroe with him. And he's no relation. Different spelling, totally. There's no E at the end of Will's last name. Have to point that out. And of course, Rylan Ringer. So, Trevor Blevins is really keeping guys together. We talk about that continuity as well with Melfort. It's a big piece of it for them, but of course the Mustangs now have won 7 in a row. We talk about the parity in this league, fellas. Still lots of parity in this league.
Tons.
But there's one outlier right now, and that's the Melfort Mustangs. Nobody can really beat them, maybe except the other super hot team, which maybe we'll get to, the Flin Flon Bombers. But hey, What more can we say about Melfort right now?
I mean, is it the best chance that you've seen in recency for a repeat? Because we talked about, oh man, they lost those 3 guns up front. They lost the 2 minute-munching defensemen on the back. They lost their goaltender, right? That's big pieces. Yeah. But they've been able to recreate it. You know, goal-scoring studs, Logan Belton, Riley Cote, a bunch of energy guys like Austin Shepard, great goaltending again. It's almost like they've just built the exact same thing as they had last year when they won the championship.
Yeah, I mean, there's no holes. If there was one tiny difference, I would say I look at their roster and I still don't see a guy as prolific as Aiden Hutchinson and as Ryan Duguay, as those guys were such special goal scorers. But this team is, you know, top to bottom seasoned. Like the depth is similar guys. Like the depth is the same guys.
Same guys.
What's the difference? Another year older, another year used to each other, another year used to Blevin's system. So, you know, do they have the blow the doors off offense that they maybe had last year as much? Maybe not, but from top to bottom, there just is zero hole. And we've talked about their decor nonstop as well. So there's nothing to dislike about this Melfort team.
Absolutely. Now, Rory, me and Nugsy were talking on Thursday's episode of SJHL Insider. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the Clay Sleva trade from last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, we talked about, is there a Clay Sleva trade in existence that could happen this year for Melfort? Because, you know, like we just said, maybe they don't have those really huge high-end offensive studs like they did last year. Is there a guy that could? I'm not asking you to answer the question right now. I'm just saying this is a topic.
I can answer it right now.
Okay.
So you did ask me on Insider.
I did ask you, and we kind of came to the conclusion.
And I gave you an unhelpful answer.
An unhelpful answer. So Rory, be helpful for me.
I don't think it's going to be helpful.
No, I don't think there's a Clay Sleva necessarily out there. But is there a trade potentially you could see where Melfort does bring in a 19, 20-year-old forward that could change how they play? You know,
I just don't know from where.
Right.
I don't know
Not
from
in the SJ, yeah.
I don't know from where in this league, because Estevan, you know, they're not going to give up on
Probably
their big guns right now. Notre Dame and Nipawin. Nipawin's so young. Like, who is the big gun from the Nipawin Hawks that might be a trade piece? The Melfort Mustangs.
They're not going to trade Radloff.
Finley Radloff, their captain, a 19-year-old, right? Not even a 20-year-old.
No. Yeah.
And then, you know, Notre Dame in years past haven't really traded their players in the SJHL. If anything, it goes out of leagues.
Right.
I just don't know from where.
Yeah.
Because Kindersley's not going to give up. Larange, you're not going to get Mason Buford. Estevan, you're not going to get Kent Moores.
It's the pros and cons of having a league with such parity as we do, is that not many teams are going to want to trade with other teams within the league, because they all have a playoff shot right now.
Yeah, and I'm, you know, I'll just mention it now. I wasn't going to include it in Nugs and Notes. I could have, I guess, but the trade freeze is coming up, obviously, before Christmas, so it is, I guess, topical. But
when does that hit? Do you know the date?
I believe it's December the 10th.
10th, yeah.
So I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I'll double check.
I'm pretty sure you're right, though.
But if there's one name, if we have to throw a name that's kind of Clay Sleva-esque, that could be that guy, it would be Marko Djordjevic.
Yep.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough call, and I didn't mean to put anyone on the spot, of course, but it's always fun to think about, and that is the kind of the thing right now, is that the league is so tight. I always go back to you mentioned Finley Radloff's name, and I'm not saying he's going to get traded. Nipawin, it's okay, calm down.
He's not going.
But I think back in 2014-15 when I was working in Estevan, and we had Darcy DeRoos, obviously older brother of Tristan DeRoos, longtime SJHL players. We traded Darcy DeRoos to Kindersley. We got his rights back the year later in future considerations, along with
a little bit of a loan trade.
Yeah, a little bit of a loan trade. So maybe there's something there, but again, not for topic of discussion necessarily today. There's still a long time before the heavy trade talks get in.
I don't know what anyone's going to do. Like,
it's going to be crazy.
I don't know.
It's either going to be crazy or
nothing.
Or the opposite, very quiet.
Very quiet, yeah. Or out-of-league trades really increase.
I think if there are trades, it'll be
out of league, It's going to be interesting. Anyways, that is not a topic for today. We're just kind of threw that in there. Topic number 3 of our headlines is security deposit. Now, this was a big one because the Melville Millionaires were on a bit of a slide. I think it was 6 games where they didn't get a win or record a win, and they got 2 big wins over the Kindersley Clippers. Again, they were neck and neck. They were tied in the standings, and now Melville, as it sits today, is in second. Is that correct?
It's crazy, yeah.
So they went from basically almost out of a playoff spot. Now they're in second place. So, again, this league continues to boggle my mind each and every time we do a show. Nugsy, I'll start with you on this one maybe.
Yeah.
2 big wins from Melville, though, over the Kindersley Clippers this week.
Yeah, it's another day where the Kindersley Clippers, didn't play badly at all in either game. And we've seen that a bunch of times with this Kindersley Clippers, find a way to not win the game. Find a way to lose the game, even though they play pretty well, play their systems pretty well. Do they have maybe that game breaker up front? Maybe that's what they're missing. I'm sure Clayton Jardine and company are trying to figure that out. But we shouldn't be surprised that this Melville Millionaires team is doing well, that they're second in the league. Their roster speaks to that, and I still believe, and I'm going to get a message from Yorkton Terriers fans, and that's fine. I'm going to get messages from Weyburn Red Wings fans, and that's fine. I still believe the Melville Millionaires are the best team in the Viterra division. This week, it's safe for me to say that because they're the second place team in the league. The parity is intense, but I think the way Doug Johnson coaches, it's winning hockey. And if the Mills just continue to buy into that, then it'll continue to be winning hockey for the Mills. But what's the difference, fellas? The difference between the Melville Millionaires winning and the Melville Millionaires losing so far this year has been saves. Saves. Nick Jeanette is third in the SJHL in goals against average. What does that tell you when a goalie is low goals against average? It means the team's playing well defensively in front of him, whether he makes the save or not. He's just getting the save nowadays. His .945 save percentage over the last 5 games for Nick Jeanette. Now, I've been a huge Nick Jeanette guy for a long time. He played for an incredible Victory Honda team last year that went to the U.S. U18 National Championships. That kid is legit. The only reason he, maybe isn't at USHL or something like that is because he's not a very big boy. But they play defensively well. They're getting the saves from Nick Jeanette. They have a very, very, very talented team. We've seen that before. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
Rain Hodge and Raiden Zacharias have chemistry like for days right now. They're playing great together. There's a lot to like about Melville, and it baffled me that they were losing. It baffled me.
Absolutely.
It's wild what a winning streak could do, though, because you mentioned it. They were clawing to back the playoff line when they were losing these 7 games, and we can't take this for granted. It's 13% of your season. All of a sudden, they win 2 games, and it's back into second place. So it is crazy. I like how you mentioned Nick Jeanette. Another thing that is, stirring the pot for Melville, obviously, is their top line. Caden Jury still leads the SJHL in points. And I want to give you a stat and then ask you a question. The stat is Jury has 5 games this season where he didn't get on the score sheet, where he doesn't have a point. Melville has lost all 5 of those games.
Right.
They are 13-4-1 when he has a point. They're 0-4-1 when he doesn't have a point. Are they too dependent on making sure the top line gets production as well as needing the goaltenders to step up? Do they need some other guys in their forward group to maybe get some supplemental offense here?
Well, that's it, right? And they need it, and obviously, and Doug Johnson, I'm sure, is saying yes, we need it. We need it because what we've seen in games that Melville have lost is you put the shutdown pairing on the Drury line, and where is that other option going to come from? Now, I did mention what they are getting lately, and we're seeing it because he keeps getting awards. Is Raiden Zacharias. Whatever line he is on, he's not been on Drury's line a lot since he came back from the Western Hockey League. Why? They brought in a veteran offensive 20-year-old named Rain Hodge, who we know, and they moved the right winger around. Sometimes it's Perini, sometimes even Owen Turner, the defenseman. They've tried different things on the right, but whatever it is, it's working, and so that's a big reason too. You mentioned it, Rory. What's the difference between winning and losing? Saves. A little bit of depth. A little bit of depth.
Absolutely.
And like Perini and Rothke, and these guys are all having good years. Rothke and Drury have been a pair, but Perini and Olsen, like these guys are having pretty good years. But they just need to do more often.
And as a result of the weekend, the Kindersley Clippers and L'Orange Ice Wolves are now tied with 25 points for that technically the 8th spot in the standings. Oh yeah, sure, let's bring it up. As you can see, a massive shift. Battleford's was second going into this weekend. Melville's now second. Weyburn is stuck in 3rd place. Obviously, they're tied with Battleford's. Flin Flon, Humboldt, Yorkton, all with 27 points, all with 13 wins, all with 23 games played. And then you see L'Orange and Kindersley there. Estevan has made up some ground now. Now they're only 4 points back, still with 4 and 5 games in hand over L'Orange and Kindersley, respectively. I love saying respectively. And Notre Dame with 16 points. Again, not going away. They're not necessarily out of the picture whatsoever. And then you see Nipawin down there with 11 points. But they're playing some good hockey. Let's go back to the headlines here as we bring up our fourth topic, and we're going down the highway a little bit. We just talked about Melville, and now we're going to talk about the Yorkton Terriers going to the doghouse. They were a top 3 team, top 4 team before this weekend, and now because of circumstances, they're in 7th.
Yeah.
Again, they're tied for 5th, but on the standings page right now, it says they're 7th. They're 0-2-1 in their last 3, guys. I don't think I'm going to say I'm worried at all about the Yorkton Terriers, but an interesting little occurrence in the last couple of games.
Yeah, they're giving up too many goals right now to feel comfortable, but this was kind of the concern we had at the beginning of the season when we were speculating. They got so many guys that could put the puck in the net, but their defense a little bit unproven. So will they be able to outscore defensive liabilities if they start to have some? Well, it's been 4.75 goals against per game over the last 5-game stretch. More of those they've lost now than they've won. So they only have 1 win this season, the Yorkton Terriers, when they have scored 3 goals or less. Meaning that the only wins that they have is when they score 4 goals, 5 goals. They're not winning any 3-2 hockey games, any 2-1 hockey games, any 2-0 hockey games. It's all basically track meet. So we got to see that kind of shore up. On the positive side, though, for the Yorkton Terriers, they've played twice as many road games as they had home games. 15 games on the road compared to just 8 at home. So I'm sure once things go back and get some home cooking and able to practice, a little bit more regularly, that Yorkton is still a dominant team in this league, but 4.75 goals against per game over a 5-game stretch is too many.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned it with Estevan too. There's some volatility too with Yorkton with their injury situation. Tate Schofer, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Jeff Hammond, he's in, he's out. These are elite players in our league, and I'd rather have the guns and the horses and teach them how to play hockey than have no guns and try to teach them how to play hockey. Yeah. So the Terriers have talent. Emery Lawson and his crew are still in a very good spot. We talked about how, a good weekend here or a bad weekend there, and things can be tough. And, these games that, you talk about those losses, they didn't play great in Melville that night, but we talked about how Melville's not playing bad either. So got to give Melville credit. Could have gone either way in Nipawin against kind of a rejuvenated Nipawin team. And then, they go up to the Whitney Forum, and who's beating the Flin Flon Bombers in the Whitney Forum right now? Not too many people. So, it's, again, the sky's not falling at all on the Yorkton Terriers. We've talked about that a bunch. Keenan Ingram had a magical November. Everything that guy touches turns to gold. We talked about it as well, that there's going to be a new hero every night for Yorkton, it seems, whether it's Denoy, whether it's Renus, whether it's Ingram, but it's Schofer. Go down the list. It's the who's who of who can put the puck in the net for the Yorkton Terriers. And, it's still November, turning to December. It's not late. It's not early. It's somewhere in the middle. But I'm sure Emery Lawson is in the middle of a process with this group to get them to play that playoff style hockey. They're not there yet, but if they do get there, look out, because they have all the weapons that they need.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, and they're not short of weapons, that's for sure. And like you said, the Flin Flon Bombers right now, that was a little bit of revenge from earlier in the season when Yorkton went up there, and I think they snuck out a win or 2 up in Flin Flon. So a little bit of revenge for the Flin Flon Bombers, and they're 7-0 in their last 7. Did you say they won every game in November?
Every game in November, yeah.
So
they had that break. they had the break, and then there was the showcase. Yeah. And then they had a bit of a break after that, and they haven't lost it.
Yeah, it's an insane. I look at the standings and it's just like, what's happening? I still don't know.
Keeper's a keeper.
Any odds and there you go, keeper, Matthew Keeper. Any odds and ends, guys, do you want to touch on before we move on?
Just news and notes.
We'll go get to news and notes in a second. So let's bring up the standings one more time. Let's bring up the division standings, if you don't mind. Ryan in the back there. As you can see, Melville, again, they're 3-5-1, but somehow they've moved up in the standings in their last 10 games. They're 3-5-1 in their last 10. They've moved up. They're first place in the Viterra right now. Weyburn's at 28 in second. Yorkton's at 27. And like you said, Estevan just starting to creep back in there. Melfort at 36 points. They are leading the way, 8-2 in their last 10. Flin Flon's also 8-2 in their last 10 with 27 points. Laurent 6-4, so they're still playing hockey. They're competitive. They're right in there. They just need to start that consistency. They're almost there. Nipawin's 2-6-0-2, of course. And then you see in the Nutrien division, the Humboldt Broncos, the Battlefords North Stars, 28 points, a 4-3-2-1 record. It doesn't stand out as spectacular, but you have to remember the two of those just came this past weekend. Other than that, they've been playing really great hockey. The Humboldt Broncos, they're sticking with that 5-5. They've kind of been right around there all season long, Rory. I don't know if we want to get into that in odds and ends at all, but the Kindersley Clippers 3-6-1. So they got to find something going on in Kindersley there. Again, 25 points, and then Notre Dame 4-4-1. 4-4, 1-1.
Well,
with 16 points.
I mean, I would like to throw a Humboldt thought out there. I mean, obviously we're going to talk to Connor Miller about going into the World Junior A Challenge, but I know Jacob Streetsy is a kid that is extremely competitive, extremely what's the word? Has a lot of faith in himself, a lot of belief, a lot of confidence. So he seemed really frustrated at the Warman Showcase that he couldn't play there, and it's obviously took him a little bit to get back into it with his injury. But what I saw from him in Wilcox on Wednesday, boy, I impressed on that big ice. Obviously, he knows the big ice. Playing at North York, where the Herb Carnegie Centennial Arena is also big ice, so he was comfortable, knows the angles well, and he's been a force all year when he's been healthy. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in Canada, red and white. I really, really hope Jacob makes it. No, he can play at that level. And I really liked what I saw from him. So I just enjoyed watching Jacob Streetsy play for the Humboldt Broncos on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of you seeing him against the with the Humboldt Broncos against the Notre Dame Hounds, we have a Notre Dame Hound highlight of the week.
Oh yeah.
And this comes courtesy of Marco Georgievich. And again, our highlights of the week are always brought to you by Tourism Saskatchewan. Let's have a look at the play now. Now, there was no call on that play, but I can do a quick reenactment on that one. Oh, my God! That's probably what he said.
There were some technical difficulties. I looked under the desk after the game was over, and I saw that there was a piece of a cable that had completely come off. And I'd heard about it. It's not going all game.
Yeah.
There's nothing we as broadcasters can do when the game is happening, really, about flow hockey. So, again, sorry about that, especially to Kindersley fans tuned in, but it was a great night for the Kindersley Clippers.
Yeah.
They played really well. The Hounds played well Marco Georgievich played amazingly well for about 10 minutes in the second period, and looked like he was going to take that whole game over by himself. Didn't, unfortunately, get the last bit, but it was a nice goal.
Yeah, Marco, my God, Georgievich. That's the call.
That's not bad.
That was the goal
I
call.
forget what I said.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, that's okay. If you see a highlight of the week, if you're at a game, if you see one on Flow Hockey while you're watching, if you hear about one, send us a tweet or send us some sort of message. Let us know, one of the three of us or IKS Media. Let us know if you see one. Benny Walchuk did last week, and we got one in there for him. So make sure you get, I think it was Caden Drury's goal from Melville last week. So make sure if you see one, let us know. Tell us about it. Tweet Nugsy, tweet Rory, tweet myself, tweet the SJHL, whatever it happens to be, and just say, hey, Marco Georgievich scored a gorgeous goal at this time in this game. Let us know. We'll get it on the highlight of the week next week. And also a big shout out to Chevrolet, who sponsors all of our highlight packages on our YouTube channel as well. It's time for Noobs and Notes.
It's news and notes, news and notes, news and notes.
Are you wearing cargo shorts in that, or what's the pants choice for that little guy? Can we do it one more time? Is it cargo shorts or is it rolled up pants?
Jean shorts.
Yeah, maybe some dark jean shorts.
I like it. Either way.
Yeah, styling. He's more stylish. Little Nugsy is more stylish and more intelligent than I am. There's no question about it. All right, couple Nugs and notes. First of all, you mentioned the rescheduling of Weyburn Red Wing games. I'll mention that here quickly. December the 17th, Yorkton will be in Weyburn for that game. That was, I believe, the weather game that was during the snow out. And the Humboldt Broncos game that was rescheduled to the Monday and has been rescheduled again. You mentioned that won't be till March the 11th, 2025 in the Crescent Point place. So that could actually have big implications in the standings
100%.
by that point. So that should be really interesting. So mark your calendars, December 17th, March 11th. It's on the website as well. Big trade in the Western Hockey League. Don't talk about it too much, but Braden Yeager going. That's a big trade. But here's a big trade in the SJA as well. Brendan Quinn Lagria, the former Swift current Legionnaire, AAA man, Saskatoon, young man, defenseman, offensive defenseman, going from Neepawa in the Manitoba League to L'Orange, and they traded Matthew Kim as well away to Timmins, the Timmins Rock, as well in the NOJHL. So I guess a little flip, D-man in, D-man out there in L'Orange. So a couple offensive guys going and making some moves there. But yeah, smooth guy, Legria, 10 assists already this year in the MJ. So should add some offensive punch to that back end in L'Orange. And Movember has come to an end, even though I still have my mustache.
Yeah, we all do, actually. All of us do, yeah.
But here is the
That's awesome.
Final standings, $21,193. Everybody, wherever you are, if you're watching this, give yourself a round of applause.
Yes.
That is amazing. Big championship for the Notre Dame Hounds. My understanding is that the fellas will be on the trophy next year as in recognition of their championship. The SJHL staff, a bunch of grown men growing mustaches.
And in fairness, we brought in a ringer super late, Kelly
and
Lewick.
also fudged the numbers. Probably not just kidding.
Kelly Lewick brought in a super fundraiser super late just to join the team who had some SJHL connections. So in fairness, we kind of cheated for the win, but at the same time.
But the Hounds fellas and the Broncos fellas clearly did a terrific job. Everybody did. We had half the league over $1,000, which is awesome. Really happy to see that. Lots of first-time guys getting involved with Movember as well. That was a big point for Kelly, who's kind of really shouldered a big load for the graphics and everything for this, and being the point guy. So information on where that money goes is on the Movember website. A lot of it is to True North, which is an organization that tries to raise awareness for prostate cancer, but also different organizations for mental health and awareness in that area. And the big thanks is, again, to Jeff Egan for coming on and telling his story, the former Flin Flon bomber, or Matt Egan, not Jeff Egan.
Yeah.
We really appreciated that. And Movember was terrific. We're really thankful to everybody who got involved, and everybody did a terrific job, especially my guys, the Notre Dame Hounds.
They did great. Now, we didn't reach the $22,500 goal that I said I would keep this until the new year, but I just couldn't bring myself to get rid of it. I couldn't bring myself to get rid of it. So I was looking at it in the mirror last night, and I'm like, I'll keep it for at least one more SJHL Weekly episode. And then, I don't know, we'll see.
This might be my last episode.
Rory said before the show started, oh man, I should have shaved.
Yeah, this might be my last episode.
So, I mean, it looks great though, Rory. Especially with the aesthetic, with the the suit jacket.
Thank you.
I think it looks good. But you know what? I'm gonna just let it ride and just kind of see what happens at this point. We didn't reach the goal, but we were so close. I might just kind of play it out and see what happens. I'm still getting the odd. My mom likes it. So my mom's very critical of my facial hair decisions over the last several years, and recently she was like, "Oh, she liked me clean shaven, but she's like, I kind of like the mustache." I'm like, "There you go. Okay, Mom. We'll see."
The women in my life
are
beard or live somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
So beard is coming back.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Humboldt Broncos star forward Connor Miller. Stay tuned till after the break.
Your new truck trade-up has arrived at Capital GMC. Volume pricing is back. As inventory levels go up, prices come way down. And right now, we have over 250 brand new GMC Sierras to choose from. Lease a Crew Cab 4x4 Pro Edition for only $269 bi-weekly plus tax with $0 down. Or work with our finance experts to get the best available rates. Plus, GM certified pre-owned inventory is back too. Shop over 150 vehicles, all makes, all models. It's finally time for your new truck trade-up, only at Capital GMC.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That's the population of Martinsville. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
Saskatchewan's far north is where the land itself inspires. It's the beauty and power of wilderness, the solitude of a place far removed from what you might know. When this landscape surrounds you, it's like nothing else. Come and let it awaken you, energize you. Come and create your story in our Northern Lights and Waterways. Saskatchewan.
In a year where Amazon sold its first book, Alanis topped the charts, and the Frappuccino became cool, we were there. Trusted by the Saskatchewan construction industry since 1995. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture.
So you're living on your own. You gotta save money by building furniture with pallets.
Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel Student Deals.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside the SJHL Weekly Studios. Clark Munroe, Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer. We're going to be joined now by the guest today, and we're going to Humboldt to visit with Connor Miller of the Humboldt Broncos. Connor, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Obviously, lots going on in your world. Let's start with this past weekend, though. A 7-5 victory over the Nipawin Hawks. It was a shootout without going to a shootout, Connor. Can you walk us through a bit of the chaos of that game?
Yeah, that obviously wasn't the game plan. We don't want to get into run and gun games with anyone. I know we can hold up in those, but it's definitely not the game plan. I think we let off the gas when we had them down and out, but we just didn't put the nail in the coffin, and we allowed them back in the game, right? And you just can't have that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Connor, a win on the weekend, a loss on Wednesday last week, a win before that, a loss before that, a loss before that, a win before that. It's kind of been back and forth with you guys this most of the season. Can you talk about the message in the locker room right now with you guys and what the game plan is going forward?
We're just trying to stay consistent as we can. Obviously, win one, lose one's not consistent, but it starts in practice, right? We're starting to battle harder, get to the front of the net. We're making stronger plays, and yeah, it's not ideal winning one, losing one, and we're just going to stick to green and gold hockey, right? And no one can, in my world, no one can keep up to us when we play green and gold hockey. We're big, physical, fast, and green and gold hockey is the way to play, and we just got to find it. And once we find it, we're going to get going here.
For sure, yeah. I mean, Braden Klomoskos loves that something and something, eh? Like, remember, he used to say nuts and guts back in Battleford's days, so he's got something else now, I guess, going on. Mills, you got to ask you, obviously, Clark and I watched you really closely at the Warman Showcase. I know that feels like a million years ago, probably. But, you're about to head to Calgary for the World Junior A Challenge final selection camp. Has it been a challenge for you, and maybe if you've talked to Oakley and to Jacob too, maybe just to kind of focus and pay attention to the SJ and make sure you're present and not kind of look ahead to that?
Yeah, that really, when we're with the team here, Canada's not our focus. We're a band of brothers here, 25 guys, and every day we show up to the rink, it's Humboldt Broncos hockey. But all the stuff that we got to do for the World Junior A Challenge definitely is challenging to keep out of our minds. But when it's hockey time in Humboldt, it's hockey time in Humboldt. But when we get to Canada now, it's game on for Canada.
How excited are you to go there and even, have a chance to represent your country? You mentioned the Warman Showcase. I thought you were one of the best players there, and obviously that got you garnered enough attention to go now to the tryouts and, a chance to crack the roster. So just where's the excitement level?
Yeah, the excitement level's through the roof, right? Getting the chance to play for your country, and if you make the team, you're playing for your country. I never thought I'd be there in a million years, and it hasn't set in yet. It's set in a little bit that we leave tomorrow morning to go for it, but once we get there, it's going to be like, holy crow, this is happening, and it's going to be surreal.
What do you think you need to excel at, just individual game, to give yourself the best chance? Do you just want to be miserable to play against? Do you feel it's more offensively? Like, what do you think they're looking for you, Connor Miller, to be on that team? Because it could be in a lot of roles.
Yeah, there could be a lot of roles. That's for sure. It's going to be a role-based team for sure. We're going to have to work hard out there. But I think for me, it's just got to play Connor Miller hockey, 200 feet, strong defensively, owning the puck in the O-zone, make things happen all over the ice, and like you said, be miserable to play against. I think that's something I'm really good at.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think, I'm sure the coaches would say that this isn't a factor, but I believe it is a factor if you have a guy like Mike Reagan coaching the team that knows you to some degree, and that you're in the same league. You're in the SJHL, he's in the SJHL, so he's seen you aplenty. Just talk about the fact that you kind of know him a little bit, got to know him maybe a little bit in the Warman Showcase, and kind of have a little bit of familiarity. I don't want to use the word comfort because that doesn't mean anything, doesn't matter, but it's helpful, I'm sure, that he knows your game a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And if it's a factor or not, I don't think it really makes a difference. You just got to go there and do what you do and play to the way you can play, and that's all you can really control. And playing in front of Reagan, sometimes it gets into his head maybe, but I'm not too worried about that. His Flin Flon team sort of plays the same way we do, heavy, hard, fast, and he likes that hockey. He preaches it when we were in Warman, and I think we just got to live up to that there and excel at that when you're going to the camp.
I want to go back to a quick question about Humboldt Bronco hockey that you talked about, right? You're one of the players that was on the Scott Barney team last year, now with the Braden Klamosko team this year. You're talking about trying to find that Humboldt Bronco hockey on a more consistent basis. How was the transition? Was it more difficult than people assume? Because two very similar styles of coaches, but still it's a different voice. So how was that kind of transition, and how close do you guys think you are to finding that Bronco hockey that you want to have night in and night out?
I think the transition felt really smooth. All the guys were comfortable right off the start. From Barnes to Braden here, it's been an easy transition. It's a little different style practices, but I think our battle's there every day, and I think we're right there. Mm-hmm. And I think coming into December here, if us three are gone for how long, or we're back in 3 days, who knows? But I think December is going to be huge for us. And coming into the new year, we're going to be a totally different team, I believe.
Yeah, fair enough. I got to ask you too, back to Canada. It's every kid in Canada grows up watching the World Juniors. I'm sure there's some level of paying attention to the U18, to the World Junior Challenge or whatever. But what's kind of your first memory of watching like a Hockey Canada game? I don't know if that's a Rory's rapid fire type question, but I'm throwing it in there because I love talking about this stuff so much.
Oh man, I don't even know how old I was, but just waking up in the morning for like 4 a.m. games and eating eggs and breakfast and bacon in front of the TV, in front of the fireplace. That's got to be the first memories. And it's just nothing better than that, being a young kid looking up to those guys.
Absolutely. So many great memories. I think of late 90s for me. I think my first year, and this is going to make me feel really old, but I think my first year was when Roberto Luongo was the goaltender. And what was that, like 1997 or 8?
And they were terrible? Canada was terrible?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Honestly. We don't have to go back to that far.
I remember 93.
Connor, you're committed to Augustana University. Obviously, congrats on that. It's been a while now that you've been committed, but great news. There is a current SJHL player there, Josh Cote. We talked about his younger brother, Riley. Have you connected? You played a couple of games in his last year in the SJHL. I don't know if you've been able to connect with him and kind of check in on how things are going there.
No, I haven't been able to connect with him, but I've been keeping close tabs on their games, and I see he's having a heck of a season. very happy for him, especially coming out of the SJ. And I'm just excited to get there whenever I can. It's going to be so fun, and hopefully the guys can keep plugging away down there and maybe win a championship someday.
Absolutely.
For sure. Last one from me, Connor, really appreciate your time. Okay, I'm old and I can't remember. And, so for those that don't know, I've interviewed Connor a few times already, including for a couple articles, or an article that I wrote on the website about him, so you can go back and check that out. But, just talk about, Rory talked about the similarities, and obviously both Braden Klomosko and Scott Barney are incredible coaches. We know that. Two of the best this league has ever seen. But maybe just talk about, what are some of the things that Braden has maybe said to you specifically that you've, really taken to heart? Not that Scott wouldn't have said those things, but I guess just now that you're a little bit of an older player, you're not a rookie, you're not young anymore, what has Braden kind of told you specifically that you kind of carry with you?
Just be me and be confident in myself that I can turn the way a game's going or something, or just to go out there and do what I do and make a difference. He tells everyone, just be the guy that makes a difference. And when you have 20 guys out there trying to make a difference, there's no one that's going to beat you. Everyone's on that mindset and is straightforward. We're going to win this game. And I think he's definitely helped me get to that mindset for sure. And that's something I've really needed. And I think it's definitely showing lately.
Millsy, the final wrap-up portion of the interview. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It is Rory's Rapid Round presented by Elkridge. All right. So you just took on the Notre Dame Hounds on Wednesday. The Hounds were victorious, but when the Broncos tied it up 3-3, Nugsy had a little bit of an outburst, smashing his folder on the ground and almost losing his mind. Do you notice these things at all on the bench of his antics a little bit when we're in Notre Dame?
Well, I noticed when he gets really excited, and I didn't see him smashing his clipboard, but I wish he did. Or I wish I did see that, because it's pretty funny. But no, I was hopping onto the ice there, but it was absolutely hilarious.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I do consider your highlight of the year play there at the Warman Showcase last year as one of the better calls of my career. So good job, Millsy.
That was a heck of a goal, too.
No, that was a good call. That was a good call.
Yeah.
Most difficult farming equipment to operate?
Oh, man. I'd say the air drill, because there's so much technology going on it and screens. You kind of got to know what you're doing, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty self-explanatory.
I'm not sure if you can see the comments. I don't know if we have the same jeweler, but good style.
Yeah, thank you.
You both found it in a desk somewhere at the EPA, or what?
That is where mine came from.
Never know.
You have three 3-point games in your SJHL career. Do you know who they're against?
Well, one was it last night or 2 nights ago against Nipawin? Yep. Maybe a Yorkton last year, and possibly a Notre Dame last year too, maybe.
Weyburn is the third team. Yorkton and Nipawin, you are right. And then a 3-point game against the Weyburn Red Wings. A couple more for you. Humboldt Bronco, who you would least likely see as a NASCAR driver.
Oh, this is new.
Jacob Strizzy.
Speaking of streets and McElwain, obviously all three of you guys are going to go to the tryouts. Do you have a choice of who you get to room with, since you are technically the longest running Bronco?
No, there's no choice there, so we'll just see what's going to happen.
And final one is Team Canada wish list. So if you were on Team Canada and you could have 2 players as your wingers all time, it could be Crosby, it could be whoever you want, just Canadian-born players, who would be your wish list line mates?
Oh, I'd say Braden Point and Sidney Crosby.
Okay.
Those 2 players are
nice,
outstanding to me. They work so hard and they're just smart, and I love it.
Well, I appreciate the time as always. That was Rory's Rapid Round presented by Elkridge, and
I'm going to think about my dream line mates. I'm going to go Paul Correa and Mario Lemieux, probably.
They were on a line, weren't they?
I think they played together at that one tournament.
Yeah,
we don't have to get into that
2002.
now. We'll talk about that in segment 3. Connor, thanks so much for joining us today. Obviously, best of luck at the camp coming up here and the rest of the way with the Humboldt Broncos as well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Connor Miller, of course, star forward for the Humboldt Broncos. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we got to announce Players of the Week. We got to announce Players of the Month. and we're going to do Risky Quizness with Jamie Neugebauer. Really excited about that. I've been told that we are not going to get any of these right.
I got to redeem myself. I was terrible last time.
I've been told we're going to get all of them.
I think I went 1 for 5.
Actually, yeah, I made them really tough this time.
Did you?
So
sorry.
stay tuned until after the break. We'll see you at the other side of the commercials.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That is the same population as Weyburn. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
My name is Kyle McIntyre, and I'm the commissioner of the SJHL. We have 12 teams spread out all over this amazing province. 12 teams that hit the road for a combined 324 season games. We take hockey players, we make them better. We make them better at hockey and better at life. That's what the SJHL is all about. We have a great league, we have great teams, great ownership, the best fans, the best partners, and the best sponsors.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 236. You could dye your own hair. Or you could save up to $20 a month on a new wireless plan with SaskTel Student Deals.
Enjoying what's around you. That's what it's all about. Farm to table, in season, locally foraged, look out the window and that's exactly what you'll see on your plate. It's the kind of experience that you'll compare everything else to for years to come. And it's so close, you can almost taste it. Indulge in our unlimited lakes and parkland. Saskatchewan.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside the IKS Media Studios for SJHL Weekly. We're into our third segment now. Just wanted to give a shout out to a couple of viewers on Facebook and YouTube. We have Dave Heron watching from Estevan. I'm working and listening. That's the way to do it. You work and you listen. I was at the Bruins Wings game on Saturday. Still hard to believe the comeback. I think I got a couple of text messages from some old Estevan friends that were like, all it was one word. It started with an F. I'm just going to leave it at that. It was a bit of a surprise. Amanda Walter says, we need a jewelry sponsor. I mean, Amanda, you got all the hookups. So let's get that going. Let's get a jewelry sponsor going on.
Yeah.
I abide.
She's an up and up in IKS Media, for those that are wondering.
Yeah, she's in the family. We got Austin Cardell checking in. Boys, how we doing? Austin doing great. Hopefully you're doing well as well. I'm sure he's happy
He's
as of
thrilled
late.
now, yeah.
I'm sure he's happy
7 in a
as
row.
of late. Yes, absolutely. And Kelly Lewick says Melville is 3-5-1-1. So that's just that was a fix on the graphic. I think I can't remember what they said on the division standings in their past 10 games. But either way, let's get to players of the week now. We'll rattle through these. These are just being announced now. If you saw earlier today, the players of the month have been posted and shared around on social media and on the SJHL website. The players of the week are coming out like as I start saying this. So here's the players of the week right now. Look at those guys. Nailed it. Love that. So the SGEU MVP of the week, we talked about him a little bit, the little brother of Josh, it's Riley Cote. He's making a name for himself. A 6-point game against Battlefords this past weekend, 3 goals and 3 assists in that one. Unbelievable game from him. One big game, but still, he's been playing so good, Rory. You mentioned it a lot. Just how.
Could we just agree, though, on something?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's Kotai.
Kotai.
I'm 99% sure it's Kotai. I don't want anybody to
Riley
mind this.
Kotai.
So
There you go.
I'm 99% sure
We'll
it's
go with
Kotai.
it. Riley Kotai.
Was it for Josh too? I think I always said Cote.
I think we all did.
I think if I remember correctly, I'm going to give Jeremy Corrigan credit. He did always say Kotai, and I should have probably caught on.
BC boys out there.
Yeah, he knows what's up. The Borgo forward of the week, we talked about him a little bit as well. Jacob Streetsy, he's got 7 points, guys, in his last 3 games. He's on fire. 2 games this week, he had 5 points. Really great performances from Jacob Streetsy as of late. The Super U defenseman of the week, Kalen Whittingham of the Estevan Bruins. He's been a big part of their latest winning streak. Kalen Whittingham, a big part of that Estevan Bruins blue line. He had a big game against Weyburn on the weekend. Sastel goalie of the week, Nick Jeanette. Great performance. 2 huge wins over the Kindersley Clippers. As you can see, big numbers, 66 saves and 2 starts over the weekend. A big part of the reason why they got 4 points in Kindersley. The rookie, IKS Media rookie of the week, and Nugsy, I'm going to let you take a minute on this one. Anthony Nolan, a.k.a. Tony, a.k.a. The Masher. He got a big 3 games this week, 4 points over that stretch, and he had the game winner against Humboldt. Newsy, what's up?
Two real quick things, very quick. One, right when he scored the winner there against Humboldt, apparently his 82-year-old grandmother burst into tears, was so happy that he scored the winner. So, really cool. And then his mom came up and gave me a big hug there in Carlisle. So that was really neat. And then I'm just curious, any coaches, longtime hockey goes out there watching, if you remember a great scout over the years named The Masher is his nickname. So just reach out to me. I remember him for years and years in Ontario, but this guy was absolutely everywhere. I looked him up, what his name was. I didn't even know his name. But reach out to me and say, I know who The Masher is if you're a hockey guy out there, because he was an absolute legend and he didn't smell very nice, but he was a great hockey. It's
a great nickname.
He was everywhere and he was a real character.
You don't have to smell nice to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but Tony Nolan is nothing like him.
Tony Nolan, great. And finally, the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week, Mason Karkachuk of the Nipawin Hawks. He's got 8 points in 8 games over the course of November. He had 6 points this week. He was among the league leaders in scoring this week. So huge week from them. And Nipawin, like I said, playing really good hockey right now. Let's move on now to the Players of the Month, which was announced earlier today, but we'll still go over them. Mason Buchert of the Laurent Ice Wolves, the MVP of the month, 13 points over 9 games. And Rory and Jamie, both of you have talked about how huge his production is for the winning percentage of the Laurent Ice Wolves. When he scores, they tend to win. Yep. And so far, he's doing a lot of scoring in the last stretch. The Borgo forward of the week, Keenan Ingram, a huge month from him. 4 multi-point games in November, 6 goals, 6 assists over 8 games. I know he's been a huge part of that Yorkton Terriers drive up the top of the standings, of course. The Super U defenseman of the month. That's going to Liam Honks of the Notre Dame Hounds. 11 points in 10 games, 5 of them goals. Second in goals right now in the league by a defenseman, having a huge impact. I don't think we need to ask Nugsy how he's doing because Nugsy talks about him all the time. He's one of the best defensemen in the league, hands down. That's Nugsy's quote, but I'm also reiterating.
Just the truth.
It's the truth.
He's a good player.
He's a great player. SaskTel goalie of the month. Matthew Keeper has had a huge start to his SJHL career. 936 save percentage with a 217 goals against in the month of November. 161 saves over the course of the month. And a big reason why Flin Flon is 7-0 in their last 7 games. IKS Media rookie of the month. We're sticking in the net. We're going with Madden Malacca of the Melfort Mustangs. In 4 starts, he had 4 wins. Now, he did play in a 5th game. He came in relief in one of the games earlier in the month. But a 152, was it 152 goals against and a 9, yeah, thank you. 152 and a 938. He got wins against Estevan, Notre Dame, Kindersley, and Battlefords. So some big wins for Melfort. And another big reason why they are at the top of the standings right now is because of the comfort level they have in their goaltending tandem. And finally, the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Month. We talked about him a bunch at the top of the show. Raiden Zacharias. Again, it kind of seems when he's in the lineup and when he's clicking, Melville is winning, and now they're in second place again in the standings because they're getting some points from that, like you said, that second unit, Nugsy. Earlier in the show, we were talking about their depth. So there you go. There's Players of the Week, Players of the Month, all 12 award winners. Congrats. Check out all the information on sjhl.ca. Okay, Nugsy, you take over. It's time. We don't have a graphic for this or anything. It's time for Risky Quizness. We should have like a little Nugsy sliding across in his underwear or something. It's from the show, Risky Business.
Oh, we gotta keep it for kids though.
Yeah, you're right.
For Emery Lawson's kids, we gotta keep it kosher.
Well, they'll make one upstairs just for us to see.
It could be an animation.
Keep it clean.
It would be fine.
Yeah. All right, Risky Quizness. I got 4 questions, multiple choice questions. These guys were like, "What are we doing 3rd segment?" They said, "Let's get Jamie to do a quiz," and I said, "Okay, but it's gonna be tough." All right. Question number 1. Back people, throw it up there.
Back people.
He led the league in shifts in the month of November. So you got a bunch of things to take into account, I suppose. How many games you played?
Okay, I have an idea.
So we'll go with Clark first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go
I'm
first.
going to go with Kieran Ronan and Estevan, B.
That's who I was going to say, too. They've also played a lot of overtime games, so you're getting an extra step
No, but you
out.
know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, they also have the least amount of games played in the league this year, so they might not have played enough games for him to have the most shifts.
That's also true. It's not shifts per game.
Right.
Put the
thing back up.
Put the options back up.
Rodman also plays quite a bit,
Kindersley's
too.
played a lot. I'm going to go with Ethan Hilbig. I'm switching it. Sorry.
I'm going to stick. I know they haven't played a lot, so I'll stick with Kieran early.
Okay, I'm going to go Ethan Hilbig.
The answer is Ethan Hilbig.
Yes.
Good job.
For Clark,
clutch switch.
275 shifts. And there you go. I was like, maybe they won't get any of these right, but Clark got one right. So good for you,
Thank
Clark.
you.
65 points for Clark.
It's 1-0 Clark. All right, next question. The 7 Years War lasted this long.
No using Google.
It's a question for you. History
I know
question.
this is a trick question. I've heard this trick question on other spots. I'm going to go with B, 10 years.
I'll say C, 9 years.
And the answer is Rory is correct. It started in 1754 when a militia colonel named George Washington started a war with the French in the Ohio Valley back to kind of 1700s America. So there you go.
So why did they call it the 7-year war?
Why didn't they just call it the 9-year war?
Yeah, it's a great question. A, there already was a 9-year war.
Oh,
that was in the 1600s.
It got trademarked.
And it got TM. Yeah. And then the second thing is that the first 2 years of the war were just kind of skirmishes in North America, and the war in Europe started in 1756. But of course, the situation about that war is that it ended with Quebec becoming part of the British Empire, and which is why it's kind of part of Canada. Anyway.
Fun.
There you go. Fun history. All right. So 1-1 is the score. Good job, guys. All right. He led Saskatchewan-born players in scoring in the month of November.
Okay.
Braden Zacharias of Melville, Mason Buchert of
Braden
Orange.
Zacharias just got Saskatchewan Player of the Month. I'm going to go with... Oh, I guess Rory. Sorry, you're up first.
You can go first.
I'll go with Braden
sit on
Zacharias.
it.
I feel like that's... Oh, no. Shoot. I know what the answer
Really
is.
external processing. We'll get Rory go first.
I'll say Buchert.
Yeah, it's Buchert, but I'll go with Braden Zacharias because that was my original answer. But I know it's Buchert because he just won MVP of the month. See, this was a silly one
How
for
do you
me.
answer this question? Well, Rory said Buchert, and you were like, I should say Buchert, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it to Rory.
I'll take
and
the
not
L.
you.
I'll take the L because I said Zacharias. Yeah. I
It was
messed up.
Mason Bucher had 13.
We also
points.
just showed it for players.
I know. That's why I said it. But I was like, Stats Player of the Month is right in front of
Oh, it's Mason Bucher.
The
He's
only
MVP.
sneaky one in there was Vinny Palmerine for me, but my logic
Right.
was, well, if Palmerine had more points than Hunks, then why is it Hunks? So
Right.
that was my only
Palmer
logic.
did have a point per game.
Also, Hunks is not a Saskatchewan born.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
Oh, that's true as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, fourth question. This is the only food that will never spoil. It would last forever.
I know this one.
Okay.
I know this one. You can
So
go
the-
first. I know what it is.
Oh.
Wait, put it up again. Lentils and mushroom.
Honey, rice, lentils, and mushrooms.
Twinkies.
Twinkies would probably
Twinkies.
last. Is that food, though?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that
There's a whole Family Guy
that wasn't
episode
an
about
option.
this.
So, okay, what's your answer, Clark?
I think honey.
I believe it's honey.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with honey.
Honey is correct.
All right,
there
there
you
we
go.
go.
Honey would last forever and never go bad. So Rory had 3 and Clark had 2, and I guess my questions weren't as hard as I thought.
Yeah, man.
Pretty good.
I was worried that
Good quiz.
Thank
I
you.
was worried that you were gonna be like, what was the 17th battle of the 7-Year War or something like that.
I don't even know that.
You should.
17th in like chronological order.
Yeah, in chronological order. Yeah.
Battle of Arcadia.
The
Can you guys name one battle in the 7 years?
The episode of The
Plains
Office
of
where they do
Abraham?
the Gettysburg
Famous battle?
reenactment is coming to mind. I don't know why.
Okay.
Gettysburg was the Civil War, though. That
Yes,
wasn't.
that's Civil
We're
War.
getting way off.
Back to back
1863.
with our history lessons. So
Yeah.
thank you, Noogsy.
Thanks,
You're
Nugs. Thanks for that risky quizness. We're going to look at the schedule of the upcoming week here. As you can see, there's 3 games tomorrow night. The Battleford's North Stars are visiting the Melville Millionaires in now apparently the battle for second place in the league all of a sudden. The Yorkton Terriers are visiting the Notre Dame Hounds, and the Nipawin Hawks are heading to Larange to face the Ice Wolves. And then on Wednesday, we got 1 game, Estevan-Melfort. That should be a beauty as well. Of course, with Estevan coming on strong in the last little stretch, and of course, Melfort. They've always been coming on strong the whole season. Guys, is there anything you're looking forward to in the upcoming week?
Yeah, that crazy little stat here. When Battleford was in second, this is how volatile the league is this year.
Yeah.
Battleford was in second place in the league with a minus goal differential at one point. Like, absolutely crazy. Anything could really happen. We'll see. We both, all 3 of us objected on Flin Flon not rolling through the rest of the year without a loss. We said they're going to lose 1, but they haven't yet, 7 in a row, and we'll see if they can keep it going.
Yeah, well, it should be interesting. You know, here's an interesting stat for you guys.
Sure.
So, okay, but the answer to my question is, I actually, and I'll be honest with you, like I actually haven't seen the Yorkton Terriers in person yet this year.
Right.
So I'm looking actually forward to seeing them play tomorrow. A lot of great kids on the team, obviously, like every team, but I haven't seen them as a team play. Their record, they have a better win percentage, the Yorkton Terriers, when they're trailing after 1 than when they're leading after 1.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
That's wild.
They're 5-4 when they're leading after 1. They're 3-1 when they're trailing after 1.
Wow.
So that is, kind of mind-boggling. So I'm very interested to see what the weapons of the Yorkton Terriers look like on Olympic-size ice in Wilcox. And it's always fun to get back broadcasting, so I can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I think that battle for second place on tomorrow night, Battleford's at Melville, I think that's going to be a fun one. Like you said, Rory, the fact that Battleford's has a -5 goal differential is just kind of crazy. The fact that they're in 3rd place right now, tied for 3rd place. So it should be a great week. Really looking forward to it. Lots going on across the province, so make sure you get out to the rinks. If you can't make it to the rinks, of course, get your Flow Hockey subscription and follow us on all of our social media channels. We will have you covered across the board: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, of course. And again, on Flow Hockey, get that subscription. All of our sponsors, big thank you one more time to all of our sponsors: Cantera Seeds, Borgo, Capital Automall, Sask Lottery, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, of course. All of our broadcasts are sponsored by UPL. You can see them on front of the desk there. SGU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Big thank you to them. We will be back on Thursday, myself and Noogsy, with SJHL Insider. I don't know who we're going to get for a guest. I think last week we tried to get a certain guest and we couldn't get him. So maybe we'll try to get that guest again.
Also, your water bottle looks crazy.
Oh, yeah. There's some space matter going on in there, I think, by the looks of it. Doesn't like that color of blue, apparently.
Yeah.
I usually don't have that on the desk, so my bad.
just
One
think
more
it's
big
cool.
thank you to everybody for our Movember campaign. A big
Yeah.
$21,000 raised across the board. and appreciate all of you. Well, we can't donate anymore, but yes, make sure.
I think you can.
Can you still donate?
You can still donate.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Movember.com. Go check it out. Again, thank you to everybody there. Until Thursday, when we get to chat again on SJHL Insider, for Rory McGouran, for Jamie Neugebauer, for myself, Clark Munroe, for Ryan and Bryce in the back with the IKS Crusaders. There they are. And is Kelly there? Or who else is there? Was there a third person in there? I'm not sure.
Just the RB
was
show.
Rolf in there? It looked like somebody else's hand was there. Just you. Oh, that's too bad.
No Kelly.
Well, no, there was. It looked like somebody was standing behind Bryce. It looked like somebody was standing behind Bryce.
There's Ryan and Ryan's beard.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody there, everyone at IKS Media, everyone at the SJHL, and get out to the rinks. Enjoy the hockey, everyone. We'll see you on Thursday.
I remember when I was a kid, playing with my G.I. Joe. Well, he sure could fight, but he didn't look right with the bare spot under his nose. So I took my black magic marker, scribbled down the work of art. Right above his lip, man, he sure looked hip. It's where my fashion sense got its start. Well, then one day the hormones hit me. Hair sprouted all over the place. I didn't understand, but I made a plan for the dead center of my face. So I trimmed it up and got my first girlfriend. She said, "You're cute, but you look like trash." I said, "Buy me a razor and you might feel a taser if you try to take away this class." Baby, don't hate my mustache. Come on now, give it a try. The way it grows on me, well, I guarantee you'll be swinging with the coolest guy. Baby, don't hate my mustache, the best kept secret alive. I know it ain't the 80s, but baby, just maybe we could make a little compromise. Well, you know it worked for Burt Reynolds and Tom Selleck on Magnum P.I. And Wyatt Earp was a total jerk, but he drove all the ladies wild. And you know everybody loves Chuck Norris. He's a trend-setting one of a kind. There ain't nothing stranger than a Texas Ranger with a bare-naked lip that shines. Baby, don't hate my mustache. Come on now, give it a try. The way it grows on me, well, I guarantee you'll be swinging with the coolest guy. Baby, don't hate my mustache, the best kept secret alive. I know it ain't the 80s, but baby, just maybe we can make a little compromise. Well, it's even linked to higher education. Einstein gave it a whirl, and that bushy bundle was a fertile jungle of ideas changing the world.